Ideally, we need to think of our like friendships and getting to know the new moms around us as though we were actually like dating someone. And before you hear that word and you're just like, this girl is weird, and you bounce, let me explain. So when I was in high school, I was like brand new as a freshman into this new high school. And of course, I'm like the new girl. And it wasn't very long after I started school that this group of two boys came up to me and they were like, they pointed across the hallway at another kid and were like, hey, do you want to date our friend? And I had no idea who this guy was. And I was like, and I'm interacting with them and I look over at whomever they're talking about. And to this day, I have no idea who it was. And I was like, no. And they were like, why? And I was like, because I don't know him. And, then the conversation ended. Thank goodness I was saved by the bell and I was able to leave that really awkward interaction. Well, I think when we kind of, as moms, sometimes we feel super desperate and sometimes we can give off these vibes of like, like trying to initiate relationships and friendships with other moms, but we're coming off and we're giving off this vibe of like, I'm looking to be in a serious relationship with you, even though a serious friendship with you, even though you know nothing about me and I know very little about you. So I think that a great way to kind of like establish new relationships that last and that are meaningful, we need to think about really like dating our mom friends. So the first thing, of course, is proximity. So is there somewhere where you and this other mom that you may be interested in growing a friendship with, where you guys hang out on a very normal, regular basis, right? Now, this could be online or it could be in person. Well, wherever that is, you need to basically show up there pretty regularly, right? So it's not coming across as these weird, like, be in a relationship with me, be my friend vibes, right? Like I just established in that previous, like story. So this could be like a local library, it could be a social space online. And I think back to when we were kids and it was so easy making friends and we can't become adults and it's just like, why is it so hard? And I think it has a lot to do with this proximity, like principle, because when we're kids, especially if we're in grade school, we're put in a single classroom typically where you're with the same group of people every single day for an entire school year, right? And especially if you have assigned seating from your teacher, like maybe you're sat next to another girl that you then, because you're right next to her every single day, you strike up a conversation naturally. You naturally tend to become friends because you are constantly around her. And in college, as we grow up, our proximity to other people lessens a little bit. So in college, like you might have some similar classes or you might be participating in a similar activity or extracurricular thing, but you're not around them quite so often on a regular, consistent basis. But as soon as we become adults, and a lot of us don't want to necessarily make friends in the workspace, or maybe we just want to have that boundary between like, okay, this is my personal life and this is my work life, right? Where if you're not being proactive about putting yourself around other moms, around other women that you can be like, okay, there's someone here, there's something about this event that is going to attract a personality of someone else that may be interested in the same thing that I am, or have commonality in something that I'm also like, we'll find common ground because we're participating in a similar thing. So I think that's one of the reasons why it can be so hard as soon as we become moms, because we've lost our proximity to other moms in like in a similar area. And I just think why it's so much harder to find friends as an adult. Now, the other thing that you need is to have a shared interest, right? So like if you're not interested in the same things, if you don't have like a similar, this could be cover a wide range of things. It could be like the similar like interest or topic. It could be a similar lifestyle. It could be similar values or beliefs. Maybe you guys go to the same church or you have the same faith background. Or it could be the fact that you parent the same way or you have very similar parenting styles. And when we become moms, this I think adds another layer and challenge to making mom friends, is because we're not just identifying, okay, do we have a shared interest? Whereas like when we're kids in grade school, it's like, oh, do I find you interesting? Do we have common things to talk about? Whereas when we're moms, it's like, okay, do you and I have shared interests, shared beliefs, shared values? But also, do our husbands, if we're like potentially thinking of like, okay, I'm looking for a mom that not only can I do life with, but also like our friends, our family can become friends and do life together too. Like, do your husbands vibe? Do your kids get along? It's adding, it's not, it becomes, and it actually expands to the fact where you're not just looking for another friend for you, you're also identifying and trying to like match up the rest of the people in your family. And growing up, I was so blessed in the fact that my family actually had another family in our community. It was kind of fun because like our moms ended up becoming really good friends, and like our dads, I think, also got along really well together. And then like we had in our family similar siblings. So it was really cool that our families actually got along really well, because there was like this natural pairing that was happening because we already had shared interests. We already had similar proximity. Having all three of those line up really well for our family. Now, if we find a mom that we're interested and we get to this level, the next thing we kind of need to think about is determining what type of relationship are we looking for? Are we looking for a like super casual, like, oh, let's just like plan to see each other pretty regularly at the same event and we're just going to like hang out when we're there, like super casual? Or is it a, hey, I'm interested in getting to know you more. I want to hang out more consistently, almost like you're dating. Like when you think of like those romantic relationships where it's like, we're going to evaluate whether or not we want to continue our relationship after every single like interaction. Or it might be that you're looking for like, no, I want to be in a serious committed relationship where I'm looking for my new best friend, right? And I'm not necessarily advocating that you like declare or tell this to this new mom that you meet, but you need to decide what it is, what type of friendship you are looking for and you're looking to establish, right? Some moms just don't have the mental capacity to have another new best friend or another best friend, right? Like your best friend commitment may be already tapped out. You're like, I have already have several really deep committed friendship relationships that I'm investing in. Like I don't have the capacity for another new best friend, but I do have the capacity of like having like a casual friend, right? Where you're like, we have similar interests. We have this commonality, we have proximity. Like, yes, let's get to know each other, but I don't have the capacity to commit to like, oh, we're going to have one-on-one time. We're going to find opportunities for us to hang out together. Like you may not have space on your plate within the time of your life for that. But I do think that it's really helpful for us to identify what type of friendship we're looking for in other moms, so we can actually like take this into consideration when we're going through these first three steps. We're going through the proximity variable, and then the interest variable, and then the intent variable, because she may make it very clear to you either through the conversation or through subtext, like, oh, she's not looking for a best friend. She's not in the same place, right? Which again, kind of goes back to that whole like dating idea where before you get into a relationship with another person, you need to determine like, okay, are you looking for a really serious relationship? Like, are you looking to be in this relationship because you're interested in potential marriage? Or are you just in this relationship, or are you looking to be in this relationship with me because you just want to have fun together and like go on dates and just like experience life together? Like, what are you looking for so that way I can make the best decision for how I want to invest my time with you, right? So I think that that is something that we need to be aware of for ourselves. Now, depending on how the situation is, maybe that is something that you declare to another person, to this mom that you're interested in getting to know. So I actually did this with a friend that I'm in the process of getting to know. So we had proximity. Our space was online. We had common interests. So we're both working towards the same thing. And then I actually declared intent. So I was like, hey, I'm interested in getting together with another person that is going through the very similar things that I am, and I would just love to, share what I'm learning. And like I declared my intent to what I was looking for out of this relationship specifically. And that way, that gave her the opportunity to evaluate, like, okay, would this work for me? Is this something that I would find valuable? Is this something that I'm interested in? I might be interested in meeting up more often than what she has available. So declaring that as like intent gives us the opportunity to kind of talk about, like, what is it that we're really looking for? Does this work? How might this need to change? So that way we can actually continue and establish our friendship in this way, in a way that makes sense for both of us. So that way one of us over here isn't thinking like, oh, she doesn't like me, she's not interested, like I'm pushing her away, where it has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with like the time commitment and the capacity that one of us may have. So if you decide to declare intent, the next thing is to invest. And that is by initiating and validating your relationship. So when we think about, like, I have a very traditional viewpoint of dating, and I know not everyone does nowadays, and that's okay. But as in my dating experience, I wanted the guy to initiate our relationship. And so for me, that meant like he needed to like declare intent, right? Like he needed to initiate us going on dates. And I needed to declare my interest. Like that was my role, what I saw as my role. So when we're in a friendship and we're like dating this new mom friend, we need to just be aware and be mentally available to initiate. Because if you're at the point where you're like, okay, I want to invest in this relationship, you need to continue to initiate those conversations, those interactions, and also understand that her life may be super busy. Like, we're moms, and it may have nothing to do with you. It just may be like, oh, she saw a text and immediately she got interrupted. And then since the text was read, she forgets about it because, I mean, that's just how we are as moms. Like, there's 20 million things pulling at our attention. And then 2 days later, she realizes, oh wait, I never responded to that text message. I do want to hang out with her. I think sometimes if we make a couple of attempts to initiate, then we just are like, okay, well, she must not be interested. But I think that we need to take the opportunity and give way more chances to moms in this season of our life than what we might do when we were dating. You know what I mean? Like, if we were dating, and I think this is kind of why it like crosses into this, where I'm kind of encouraging you to like, no, give other moms more opportunities. Because if you are dating and someone made a few attempts, and then like, if they're not getting a response, it's pretty like obvious, like, okay, they're not interested, right? Whereas with moms, it's more just like the fact of like, now she could possibly not be interested, but I just want you to like more so default to the grace aspect of the interaction. Just like, no, like, okay, it may not be that she's not interested. It may be that she's really interested. It just may be that she just hasn't had an opportunity to respond. Then the other one is to invest by validating every time you get together, to say like, hey, this was so fun. This was like I loved doing this. I'm really enjoying getting together and like getting to know you. All of those are validating the relationship that you're building. So this new mom friend that I'm getting to know, she actually does this. She does this awesome. Like she does this almost every single time. And I have to remember, oh yeah, I need to validate our friendship. And she tells me, like at the end of every get together, like this was so helpful. I find this so valuable. I really want to continue like getting together. So she is letting me know every single time that, okay, the next time we initiate, or if I initiate and she doesn't get back to me right away, she's then validated through every single interaction. Like, yes, she is interested in continuing this friendship. She is interested in continuing how we're getting to know each other and the investment that we're making into each other's lives, right? So when you validate the friendship that you're building with the other mom, if something happens and life comes up, then there's all of these previous interactions that you can think back on, or she can think back on and say like, no, she said this was really valuable. She said that she really enjoys getting together. So when these doubts cross in and be like, oh, maybe she doesn't want to be my friend, she can go back because she's heard it by you validating like, hey, I really love it when our families hang out, or this was so much fun. I can't wait to do this again. So I think those are 4 aspects of dating that we need to bring into our friendships as we get to know new moms, because sometimes we can go to that super extreme, like I mentioned at the very beginning, where it's like, hey, do you want to be my new best friend? And you know nothing about that person. Like, I don't know anything about you. This is kind of weird. Like, back off, you're giving like desperate vibes, right? So I think hopefully this like friendship strategy will help you kind of think about how you might be coming off to another mom, and also help you to be very intentional about how you pursue your relationships with other moms, so that way you can build friendships and you don't have to go through life quite alone. But if you are like, I need to be around other moms, like I need to find some proximity, sign up for my email list below, so that way we can get to know each other a little bit better and do life together. Okay, that's it for today. I'll hang out with you again next time.